Welcome, everyone. Today, we are going to demystify one of the most exciting and, let's be honest, complicated areas in health tech, software as a medical device, or SaMD. So if you're out there building the future of digital health, well, this explainer is definitely for you. So imagine you've built this amazing health app. It's tracking data, it's analyzing trends, it's giving users real power. But here is the absolute million-dollar question that will define your entire path to market. Is it just a handy wellness tool, or is it a regulated medical device? Because trust me, the answer to that question changes everything.
All right, let's get right into it. The easiest way to think about SaMD regulation is like building a pyramid. And the base of that pyramid, the foundation that everything else rests on, is getting the definition right and then figuring out its risk. You have to nail this first step or the whole thing comes tumbling down.
So let's look at the official definition. What's so crucial to get here is that SaMD is not defined by how fancy your code is or what platform it runs on. Nope, it all comes down to one simple thing, your intended medical purpose. If you, as the creator, claim your software helps diagnose, treat, or monitor a disease, then congratulations, you are officially making a medical device. That's it.
You know, this is the exact spot where most people get tangled up. So let's make this crystal clear. An app that just tracks your heart rate while you're on a run, that's a wellness app. But software that takes that exact same heart rate data, runs an analysis, and then alerts you to a potential atrial fibrillation. Now that is SaMD. The intended purpose is the bright, uncrossable line in the sand.
And this study really puts it all into perspective. Researchers looked at 271 different health apps and found that only about 1 in 5, just 21%, actually met the strict definition of a medical device. The vast majority were just for lifestyle and general well-being. So it's a great reminder, just because it's called a health app doesn't automatically make it a medical device.
Okay, so once you've figured out your software is SaMD, the very next and incredibly critical step is classifying its risk. We're talking everything from Class 1, which is the lowest risk, all the way up to Class 3, the highest. And make no mistake, this single classification will dictate your entire regulatory journey, how long it's going to take, and how much it's going to cost.
Now that we've laid the foundation of our pyramid, it's time to build the next layer up. If the definition and risk class are the ground floor, then your quality management system, or QMS, is the architectural blueprint. And this isn't just about paperwork, okay? It's the structured process that ensures you build a safe, effective product from the very first line of code you write.
So your QMS is basically built on what a lot of people in the industry call the holy trinity of standards. Think of it like this. ISO 13485, that's the big rule book for your whole company's quality system. Then, IEC 62304 gives you the specific playbook for exactly how you must build and test your software. And all the while, ISO 1497071 is like the pair of glasses you have to wear, forcing you to constantly ask, what could go wrong here, and how are we going to stop it? They're not separate things to check off a list. They're one integrated system.
Okay, so you've defined your product and you've built it following a quality blueprint. Now we get to the absolute heart of your submission, proving it actually works. Regulators are not just going to take your word for it. You need to provide hard, verifiable evidence, and that evidence stands on 3 very distinct pillars.
I want you to picture a 3-legged stool. If any one of these evidence pillars is weak, or worse, completely missing, your entire claim of being safe and effective just collapses. So let's break down each leg of that stool, one by one. Pillar 1 is valid clinical association. And interestingly, this has absolutely nothing to do with your code. The question here is really simple. Is the underlying science you're basing everything on legitimate? So if your app claims it can predict a condition based on, say, sleep patterns, you first have to prove with published, peer-reviewed evidence that there's a real scientific link between those two things.
Pillar 2 is analytical validation. Now this is all about your algorithm. Does your software technically do what you claim it does? If you feed it a set of data where you already know the answer, does it spit out the correct output accurately and reliably every single time? This is where you prove that the code itself is solid. And finally, we have Pillar 3, clinical validation. This is the ultimate test, right? You take your finished product and you prove that it works safely and effectively with real users, out in a real clinical setting. Does it actually help doctors make better diagnoses? Does it improve patient outcomes? This is where the rubber truly meets the road. Okay, so we're moving from theory to practice. Having a great process and solid evidence is fantastic, but it's not quite enough.
You have to be able to prove to an auditor that you followed your own plan every single step of the way. And that brings us to the audit trail.
This quote just perfectly captures the entire regulatory mindset. Good intentions are totally meaningless without documented proof. Every decision, every requirement, every line of code, and every single test needs to be recorded and, this is the crucial part, connected to everything else.
And this right here, this is the auditor's secret weapon, the traceability matrix. Just look at how it connects everything. This one document creates a totally unbreakable chain, linking a user requirement directly to the design spec, the specific code module that built it, the test that proved it works, and the risk control that keeps it safe. This isn't just boring paperwork. It's your get-out-of-jail-free card during an audit. It's the ultimate proof of a controlled process.
And with that, we've reached the very top of our pyramid. This is where we face the most modern and complex challenges in the field. And these aren't just features you can bolt on at the end. Regulators see things like cybersecurity and AI as core components of device safety, meaning they have to be designed in from the very beginning. In today's connected world, cybersecurity is patient safety. End of story. A hacked medical device can cause direct physical harm. So regulators don't see this as some optional IT task. They expect a total lifecycle plan. You have to design security in from day one, you have to actively monitor for new threats after you launch, and you need a clear plan to patch vulnerabilities and recover if you get attacked.
And what about AI? Well, the biggest regulatory question with AI is whether your algorithm is locked or if it's continuously learning. A locked algorithm is pretty straightforward. You validate it once and it doesn't change. But a learning algorithm that evolves as it sees new data? Whoa, that's a huge challenge. For that, you need a pre-approved plan to show regulators how you're going to manage and revalidate those changes over time, so you don't have to resubmit for approval every time the model teaches itself something new.
So it really leaves us at this incredible point in time where lines of code can have the same impact as a scalpel or a prescription drug. And the entire regulatory framework we've just walked through is really designed to answer one profound question. As software becomes medicine, how do we make sure that we're fostering amazing innovation while at the same time ensuring that the software we trust with our very lives actually heals rather than harms?